Alright, let's do it. It's Eric, the Big E Arnold, here in the wee hours of the morning on the 17th of December, Saturday. And we got the bowl season for you. I like bowl season myself. I like watching Nobody State playing in the middle of nothing state. I like watching these meaningless games. That's why God invented the point spread, because it's never meaningless if you got money on it. So, what do we got here for you? I guess, what is there? Some crazy number, like 39 games, 41. I guess they played 2 today, so we missed those. I picked the whole slate. I split the 2 that were today. I cashed with Miami and missed with San Antonio. But at any rate, I got the rest of them here for you. So, in chronological order, Chuck Armstrong, who never knows when the Buckeyes are going to be picked. That means the Buckeyes are going to be near the end of this video. So, be forewarned. You can skip to the end there, Chuck, and it'll be there at the end of whether or not I think Ohio State will cover against Georgia. Alright, let's get going. So this video is not 100 miles long, and, or I guess I should say 45 minutes long. I've got to go on vacation tomorrow in less than 8 hours. That's why you haven't had many videos. I'm just so damn busy. It just, my motor doesn't run as high as it used to 30 years ago. That's a fact. You just don't get as much done anymore. Alright, what's up? I just got names right now. I don't even have dates. I just got names. Some of it sticks in my head, what bowls are playing in and where, but a lot of it, you're just going to have to look it up for yourself. So, I do think, I'm pretty confident that at the end of the day, we will have more winners than losers in this bowl season extravaganza. I didn't just pick names. There's thought behind these picks. Here, look. You're going to learn something. Listen up. You're going to learn something right now. The trick to the bowl season is who wants to be there. That's it. Throw the rest out. Throw the history out. Throw statistics out. Who wants to be there? If you're able to establish that one team is taking the game more seriously than the other team, that's your winner, period. Just throw away the point spread, the records, the stats. If you've got, say, a Power 5 team that's disappointed that they're in the toilet bowl playing the Sun Belt team, take the Sun Belt team. They're going to win, or they're certainly going to cover. So that's it. That's all you need to know. So let's go ahead here now. The Fenway Bowl, I guess they're playing a game in Boston. That's kind of cool, I guess. 2 teams that are not anywhere near there, Louisville and Cincinnati. I think the winner here is Louisville. Both teams losing their coach. I think Cincinnati has got to be just down. In other words, they're trading out what I thought was a pretty good coach, Luke Fickell, who's moving up to the Big Ten, and they're getting a lateral move with Scott Satterfield from Louisville, is coming from Louisville to Cincinnati, and I don't think anybody in Cincinnati is too excited about that. It's like, wow, we just lost Luke Fickell. This guy was putting us in the top 10. I mean, we were in the conversation for playoff. Certainly now that they're going to a 12-team format, we would have been in that conversation. And now that guy just left. And now we got, who's this? Scott Satterfield? Guy that basically failed at Louisville. So if I'm Cincinnati, I'm kind of sad about the whole thing right here. I'm not that excited about Scott Satterfield. Whereas the guy replacing Satterfield at Louisville, that's a definite upgrade. Jeff Brom. Now, none of these guys are going to be involved in this game. I'm just trying to give you a feel of who wants to be there. And I think Louisville definitely wants to be there more than Cincinnati. So, my notes say Louisville -1. That's where we're at there. Florida, Oregon State. This is a real game. I mean, this is a real game. Unfortunately, it's going to be featuring both teams' JV squads, probably. Certainly Florida's. Here's where I'm at. I'm taking Florida, and here's why. The quarterback is going to be, I believe, Jack Miller. You know, another Ohio State cast-off. Who was Here's a trivia question for you. Who played at Louisiana State and was an Ohio State cast-off? Could not beat out the great Justin Fields. That's his name, right? Could not beat out Fields, so he transferred to LSU. That's right. Joe Burrow, who now is pretty much a better quarterback than almost anybody in the NFL, and headlined one of the best teams we've ever seen, the LSU, what was that? That was 2019. That was one of the best college teams I ever saw. So these Ohio State cast-off quarterbacks, you got to pay attention to these guys. And I think they're going to be just fine. Florida's going to be just fine with Jack Miller. And we're catching 10.5 points. I got an SEC team and I'm getting 10.5 points? Oh yeah, give me. I'll take that. You know, who wants to be there? You're going to say, well, clearly Florida doesn't want to be there. Oh, yeah? First year, Billy Napier, first year in the SEC, he wants to be there. And he's going to make sure that whoever's on the field wants to be there. I like Florida. Take the 10.5. Fresno State, Washington State. This has a definite Fresno wants this game more than Washington State. Lay the 3.5 there with Fresno. Southern Miss, 6.5 point favorites versus Rice. No idea. I just took Southern Miss and I don't have a reason. BYU getting 5.5 from SMU. Apparently BYU's got a mess here with the quarterback spot. This guy's hurt. That guy's hurt. Don't know who's going to play. So they're 5.5 underdogs to SMU. I believe this is the Albuquerque Bowl. I looked it up. It's going to be cold. No brainer. You always take the cold weather team against the warm weather team in this type of situation. So you're getting the value with the points there. 5.5 points. Take it. Take BYU. BYU always wants to play these bowl games because they're always kind of, for a while there, they were independent. And it was very important that they win their bowl games just so they didn't end up the team without a chair when the music stopped. You know, if you're an independent and you're not named Notre Dame, that can happen. So I think some of that carries over with BYU always having that we want to win the bowl game mindset. Boise minus 10.5 versus North Texas. This is another cold weather pick. We're going to lay the 10.5 with Boise State. Just say they outclass North Texas there. Monday, UConn getting 10.5 from Marshall. This is a no-brainer. Marshall, they go to a bowl game every year. UConn has been on the outs for years. They were one of the worst teams. I think they actually dropped the program for a year or two. Weren't they one of these COVID pansies that didn't even play one year? So the fact that they're back in a bowl game is a huge deal to the UConn program. They definitely want this game more than Marshall does. This is a no-brainer. Take the points. Take UConn. Eastern Michigan getting 3.5 from San Jose State. We like the coach at Eastern Michigan. We'll take the 3.5 and take Eastern Michigan. Toledo, 4.5 point favorites over Liberty. We did not like the way Liberty closed out the year after Hugh Freeze pulled up stakes and left. You know, these Liberty people, I mean, it was almost like the party's over, you know, unless you're going to pony up really big bucks here. And even then, you're probably not keeping the guy. Hugh Freeze is leaving, so don't act so surprised. They're acting like, oh my God, he left. Yeah, these guys have a tendency to do that. So they played really badly after Hugh Freeze has left, quit, moved on to bigger and better things. So we're going to go ahead and take Toledo and lay the 4.5 there. Western Kentucky, Southern Alabama. I believe this is the New Orleans Bowl. I've always liked this bowl, but it's weird now. I guess it's further into the schedule. This always used to be like clockwork on this first Saturday in the bowl season, and Lafayette almost always was there. Louisiana Lafayette, that was like their bowl. They would put 50 grand for this crummy ass bowl game. They would put 50,000 people in the Superdome for this thing. It was a big deal. Now, I don't think they're going to get anywhere near that kind of crowd with Western Kentucky and South Alabama. So, but we're just going to go ahead here, take the points with Western Kentucky. I think that's a tried and true, tested Conference USA program. I think South Alabama, a little soon for them to be favored in a bowl game. They've been kind of irrelevant for a number of years. So now suddenly they're favored in a bowl game. Nah, not buying it. Air Force at Baylor. This is games down in Texas. Baylor probably technically a home team here, but you never really want to play these service academies in a bowl game because they're always up for a bowl game. I mean, they just, they have that military discipline, and it's always a big deal for them to get to go to a bowl game. Plus, they run their grinded out running attack stuff, so you really got to be on your P's and Q's if you're the other team. And if you even have a hint of not wanting to be there, it's going to be a long day for you. So we're going to go ahead and take the points here with Air Force. Here's Lafayette. They are in a bowl game. Lafayette, they're getting 6.5 from Houston. We'll take Lafayette. Why not? Wake Forest minus 1.5 against Missouri. We like Clawson at Wake Forest. He's one of our favorite coaches. They closed out the season poorly, but I do think that Wake Forest has a little bit of an edge here as far as just who's better. And, Wake Forest playing an SEC team, I think this is where Wake Forest might just want to be there a little bit more than Missouri. So we're going to go ahead and say Wake Forest. San Diego State, Middle Tennessee State. I don't know. This is in Hawaii, I believe. That's why we put San Diego State. They've made that trip a number of times, the program has. They're familiar with Hawaii as far as the travel, the routine to get into that game. I would wager Middle Tennessee State. I don't know they've ever played in Hawaii. So just a familiarity aspect. We're going to go ahead and lay the 6.5 with San Diego State. Georgia Southern, Buffalo. I don't know. Georgia Southern used to have a good running attack. I don't even know if they have it out anymore. We're going to lay the 3.5 with Georgia Southern. Let's see. Utah State, Memphis. We're going to take the 7.5 with Utah State. Again, no real rationale why there. Interesting here. Coastal Carolina catching 8.5 from East Carolina. They've had the greatest run in Coastal Carolina history, and now maybe it's over. Where they've lost their coach. Chadwick, I think, is going to Liberty. And their quarterback, they got one of these great college quarterbacks who won't make it in the pros. He's done too. So now both moving on, they could be the end of the road for Coastal Carolina. But the quarterback's going to play. He wants to play. I mean, good for you, man. Most of these guys are like, no, I got to prepare for the draft. Prepare for the draft? You sound like Chuck Armstrong. I got to prepare for the draft. Except he prepares for a different draft. A baseball fantasy draft. These guys got to prepare for the NFL draft. Oh my God. I can't think of anything more wussy than that. It's like, play. Oh my God, I cannot believe you guys. When I was in Little League and I was good, I could not wait to play. I wanted to play every hour of the day because I was good. I loved to play. It's like there's nothing better when you're good at something and you get to play that sport. I guess it's different if you're not that good. Then you might be like, "Huh, shit, I'm up to bat again. Like, I'm just going to strike out." Well, when you're good, you can't wait to get up to bat because you're going to hit the ball hard somewhere, and it's fun. And football is the same way. If you're good at it, I can't imagine you can't wait to get on that field. How in the hell can you tell your teammates with a straight face, "Yeah, I've decided to opt out. I've got to prepare for the draft." You people suck. And I hate those kind of people. So kudos to, I believe the kid's name is McCall. He's going to play in this game. We're going to back his play. We're going to take the 8.5, and we're going to take Coastal Carolina. Oklahoma State, Wisconsin. Wisconsin, they're in total changeover mode here. Having fired the coach midseason, now they're bringing in Fickle. Oklahoma State, they got a gut punch where their starting quarterback is hitting the transfer portal. So they're without a quarterback for this game. I'm going to say Mike Gundy figures it out, though. That he figures it out with somebody at quarterback. To me, this is a game Gundy wants more than the Wisconsin program. And we're going to go ahead there with the 3. We get him 3. Mike Gundy. He's a man. He's 40. Well, he's more like 50 now. But, yeah, we're definitely taking Gundy and the points. Duke minus 2.5. We'll take that over in Central Florida. No reason why. The Kansas-Arkansas Bowl. The Kansas Bowl, if you will. Both words have the word Kansas in it. Kansas getting 3 from Arkansas. We like the coach in Kansas. No doubt about that. That guy is an A1 coach. The guy from Buffalo, Leopold. So we're going to take the 3 there. That's Liberty Bowl. I've got relation in the Memphis area, and one of these days I'm going to get to that Liberty Bowl. I'm one of the few people in America that it's actually on my bucket list. Go to Liberty Bowl. That's on my bucket list. So it won't be this year, but someday we'll get there. Carolina, 13.5 against Oregon. I don't know. We're just going to say that's too many. That's too many. Who made Oregon so great? We're going to go ahead here and take the 13.5 with the Tar Heels. Ole Miss, 3.5-point favorites against Texas Tech. I don't know. I don't see Texas Tech as being all that special. I think Mississippi had a poor finish to their season, but I think they're catching a soft target here that I think Lane Kiffin kind of needs this game. You know, there was a real buzz around this guy, and now, he is running the risk of kind of falling back into joke land. So we're going to go ahead and take a risk here with Lane Kiffin and lay the 3.5. Row the boat, man. PJ Fleck laying 7.5 against Syracuse at Yankee Stadium. I don't know. We love Fleck. He is a good coach. And I would kind of be a little nervous about this in that this is not really a premium opponent for a Big Ten team. Syracuse. Oh, good. On the other hand, Syracuse plays in the dome, and here they're playing outside in the cold. I'm not sure that's going to help them. So we're going to go ahead there with Minnesota. Florida State, minus 7.5 against Oklahoma. We like where Florida State's going. We like where that program's going. We're going to lay the points here. Lay that 7.5. We think Florida State's on the way up. Oklahoma's on the way down. That's how we're playing that. Washington, 4.5-point underdogs at Texas. And when I say at Texas, I think this game's in the Alamo Dome. So, yeah, it's basically a home game for Texas. But Penix, Pennix, is going to play for Washington. This is a guy who could have opted out. He's a fringe NFL candidate. And he not only is he going to play, he's coming back to school next year. So, to me, that I think sets the tone for the whole Washington team that, hey, we want this game. We're going to play hard in this game. Let's see if we can't go out and stick it to these assholes from Texas. So we're taking the 4.5 there with Washington. Maryland 1.5-point favorites against NC State. Maryland just blew, I don't forget who it was, but they blew out their opponent last year. Just boat raced them like 50-10. And based on that, we're coming back with Maryland. And Tua's, is it Talua? Is that Tua's little brother's name? Well, whatever. He's the quarterback. We're going to go ahead with Maryland. We think they got explosiveness, and they've got a little bit of a... We like the way they played last year in the bowl. We're coming there with Maryland. Pitt, 6.5-point underdogs against UCLA. I think this is in El Paso. Believe it or not, it does get cold in El Paso occasionally, so if it's a cold day in El Paso, that's advantage Pitt. So we're going to go ahead there with Pitt. South Carolina, 2.5-point underdogs against Notre Dame. I'm not seeing this. I'm not seeing this at all. I think Notre Dame has injuries at quarterback from what I read. And South Carolina just beat Tennessee and they beat Clemson. Now, I know Notre Dame beat Clemson too, but Notre Dame beat a Ugaluga. I forget the guy's name. Is he even in Dr. Pepper commercials anymore, or did they just drop him because the guy stinks so bad? He was a quarterback when Notre Dame beat those guys. Now they got a new guy who's better, and that was the guy that, well, I'm not sure who South Carolina beat, frankly. Well, at any rate, what's that have to do with anything? We're taking South Carolina. We just think they're the better team here. They're just better. And we're going to go ahead and take South Carolina. Clemson, -7 against Tennessee. Now, this is where we're getting. Clemson has a new quarterback who's better than the guy that played the majority of the season. We think these are two teams going in opposite directions. Clemson on the way up. Tennessee, without their starting quarterback Hooker, on the way down. We'll lay the 7. We'll take Clemson there. Dabo. All right, home stretch here. Wyoming over Ohio. No idea why. I think just basically on coaching. Craig Bowl, we like him there at Wyoming. Kentucky versus Iowa. Hey, look this up. The most exciting bowl game other than the championship game last year was Purdue versus Tennessee in the Music City Bowl. That was crazy. It was a crazy game. Which Purdue beat the homestanding Tennessee Volunteers. So here you got another SEC Big Ten matchup there in Nashville. And this is a pretty big matchup. You know, these are two pretty big teams as Iowa. I expect they're going to travel pretty well. I expect this to be pretty close to a sellout there. Big game. You know, I this is why I like these bowl games. So we're going to go ahead and say Kentucky, an SEC team getting points. We like that. Iowa, they're just so. Frankly, I like Purdue better than Iowa. Iowa, like I said, that's a grinded out team. If you're going to grind it out with an SEC team, so we'll go ahead and take the 2.5 there with Kentucky. Alabama, 5.5-point favorites in New Orleans. I'm thinking, am I getting that right? I think they're in the Sugar Bowl, right? I think I'm right on that. Against Kansas State. I mean, clearly Alabama doesn't really care about this game. And Kansas State wants this game more. I'm violating my own rule here. I'm going to go ahead with Alabama. That just in that this would be, I think, too embarrassing for Nick Saban to lose this game after he shot his mouth off about how good Alabama is. And you lose to Kansas State? No. I just think that... I think he's right, basically, that Saban's right, that Alabama is good, and they're better than Kansas State, and I mean significantly better. So we'll go ahead, we'll lay the 5.5, and we'll take Alabama here. All right, Michigan TCU. I think this Michigan team is really good. They're really good. I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot of places to shoot holes in this team. And I think they're just going to suffocate TCU. That TCU should not going to be able to move the ball that effectively against Michigan. And Michigan's just going to grind them up. And basically, when the second half comes around, they'll just pull away. Just like they did against Ohio State. They'll just pull away. So, we're going to lay the 7.5 and take Michigan. Georgia, Ohio State, I don't know. Frankly, I think this is an easy one. You got two programs going in opposite directions. You got Georgia, they're on the way up. Ohio State's on the way down. I don't even have to lay a touchdown with the defending champions against a team that's not even the best team in their conference with Ohio State. I just don't see it. I don't see Ohio State as having that NFL speed anymore. That's what separated Ohio State from the other animals. That we had that NFL speed. Well, we don't have it anymore. We just don't. We have it at a few positions. Well, actually, now we don't. The guy that was the NFL speed, Jackson Nigba Smith-Jackson, or some combination of whatever the hell, that kid isn't playing. He just opted out. He's had a hamstring injury for, 3 months? 4 months. The kid doesn't want to play. I think that's telling right there. So I'm pretty comfortable with that. That, you can go ahead and lay the points there with Georgia, and I think you're pretty safe. Mississippi State, Mississippi State's going to kill those guys. I don't see it any other way. It's a horrible thing. And one of these days we're going to have to do a politics barn thing here on, is it just me, or is people dropping dead a lot more frequently than they did before the world ended? It just seems like it's happening all over the place. Whether it be what you see on TV and people that are in the public eye, or people that are in your personal life. I've never had a year like this. Personally, I've never had a year like this as far as people dropping dead on me. It's not good. It's not good. And I don't think it's exactly an accident, frankly. But, that's me. That'll probably get us kicked off YouTube again. But whatever. Okay, we're taking Mississippi State. They're going to win one for the poor deceased Mike Leach. I don't think there's any other way to see that. Purdue, that's way too many points. We're taking 14 points against LSU. Tulane, 2.5 points underdogs against USC. It should be like 14, shouldn't it? Well, I assume Caleb Williams isn't playing. They didn't look good at all when Williams was unable to run. I don't know how good their backup is. I know Tulane has a vastly superior coach to Lincoln Riley. Willie Fritz, the best coach you've never heard of at Tulane. We're going to go ahead there with him and take the 2.5 with Tulane. And last but not least, you got Utah, a 2-point favorite in the Rose Bowl against Penn State. Well, Penn State's a great team, but they never win these kind of games. They just don't, because James Franklin just doesn't win these kind of games. And I don't think anything's going to change here. We'll lay the 2 with Utah. That's it. All right. Thanks. Merry Christmas. Hey, hit the like button. We'll probably try to get you more NFL picks here. Like I said, times are premium right now. I don't know when the next video will be. Probably won't get a video here for the NFL picks this weekend. The week before Christmas, we'll try to get you one. And then we'll try to, follow up with it throughout the playoffs into the Super Bowl. And then we'll probably be off for a few weeks, several weeks there leading into year 3 of baseball. That's our bailiwick. That's where we're best at. So, hey, great. Season's greetings. Merry Christmas. Love all you. Let's go ahead and get some winners here in this bowl season. Eric Arnold signing off.